We're all looking for a little love and human connection, right? So why is it so dang hard for us to talk to someone we're interested in? Studies show 3 out of 4 of us are terrible flirts and are hopeless at identifying when someone likes us. So, what's a lonely heart to do? This episode, we're talking about the art of the pickup. We dig into human behavior to uncover the subtle signs used to show interest, and more importantly, when you should trust them. We see what research says about which lines work on what personality types, and explore the multi-million-dollar industry claiming to teach men to get the women of their dreams. All to get to the bottom of a rude question from our friends at the How I Didn't Meet Your Mother podcast. That's what you're in for today on Impolite Society.
You're listening to Impolite Society with Laura and Rachel.
Oh, girl. You know what that is.
Oh, those are the drums.
Nope. I don't think so. It's not the drums. It's actually the sound of a million men pounding their fists in frustration or pounding something else in frustration as they mull over that perfect pickup line to get that pussy.
They're like, oh, why haven't all my attempts to seduce women on the street worked? Why aren't women throwing their bras at me when I ask, has God lost an angel?
When you hear those drums, you know this is Impolite Society, the podcast where we tackle the rude questions you are not allowed to ask. Yo mama, I'm Laura.
And I'm Rachel.
And we want to give a thank you to James, a bunch of numbers, for your Apple review.
1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9.
He left us a rating and a review on Apple, and we appreciate you taking the time to do that. Listener, you can rate us on Apple or now Spotify as well. And anytime you do that, we can give you a little nice shout out onto the show.
Yes, if you want to hear your Apple ID with an increasingly complicated string of numbers after it, please leave us a review and we will read it out. Ooh, or leave us a string of numbers and we'll try to guess what the pattern is.
That sounds like an annoying IQ test, and I will leave that to you, Rachel.
Well, actually.
And then also, we have an exciting giveaway to announce. This just in. And for no reason, we only happen to have 2 of these giveaway items. We have Impolite Society sweatshirts, one in a medium and one in an extra large, for reasons that I'm not going to go into. But
one is gray, the medium is gray, and the extra large is black, and they're pretty slick looking.
They are pretty fly. And so if you want some Impolite Society merch, you want the sweatshirt, we'll also throw in a sticker with it as well. All you have to do is email therude@impolitesocietypodcast.com inbox, and we will ship it out to you.
Our inbox has been a little quiet lately, so we just want to make sure it works. Literally the first person who emails us with their size preference, you got a sweatshirt coming your way. So fire up those keyboards and let's make sure our inbox is still working. Team? Folks, we never decided on what we're going to call our quote-unquote fandom.
The Impolite Society.
Society members?
Yeah, society members.
Come on, members of the Impolite Society, fire up those keyboards and send us your size preference. The only caveat I will say, since we're doing the giveaway and we're shipping it to you, the only caveat I'll say is take a picture of it, post it online, and maybe stick that sticker somewhere where people will see it on your laptop, on your backpack, or, you know, on a bike rack somewhere. We're not that picky.
All right, and today we have a rude question that is an indie inquiry. This is where we take questions from our friends in the indie podcast scene, because indie podcasts, we need love. It's hard. We got the iHeartRadios, we got the Spotify, we got these big guys out there, and they're drowning out the sonorous sounds of the indie podcast scene. So we like to take questions from our buddies to give them a little bit of amplification.
Yeah, you know, there's so many shows out there, and these big production folks are throwing a lot of money into advertising. So there are good shows out there. You found one. Hey, good for you. And we're going to try to tell you about another one.
So this question, it comes from Adrian at our pals at the How I Didn't Meet Your Mother podcast. He sent us a question that I think a lot of guys can relate to.
Hello, ladies. This is Adrian from the How I Didn't Meet Your Mother podcast. Very pleased to be on your indie inquiry. A large topic lately on our podcast has been how to pick up organically. When is it appropriate to approach someone in public? My personal example, I am a delivery driver. That means I go to the same locations the same day each week. One location I deliver to in particular is a bank. A few weeks ago, I noticed that there's a new bank teller. Now, this girl is drop dead gorgeous. She's got that high energy level, just super outgoing, just radiating positivity. So automatically, boom, I'm attracted to this girl. So 3 weeks later, after first initially meeting this girl, I go into the bank and I see that she's there. And there's this little voice in the back of my head saying, dude, come on, make a move. You got to do something here. Just do it. So sure enough, I see that she's at the bank. I go back to the truck. I grab a little piece of paper and I write my phone number down it and I go back into the bank and I start a conversation with this bank teller. The conversation comes to an end. I say, listen, I'll let you go, but I actually do have some banking questions. If there's any chance you could get a hold of me in the future, that'd be greatly appreciated. And I slide the piece of paper over to her with my phone number on it. Now, as I do this, the bank teller beside her does the old head twist and she goes, what? And I'm pretty sure the people online knew what was going on too. It's been a couple weeks since I have gotten no text, no phone call. And the week after I did that, when I returned back to the bank, she was obviously acting very awkward. So unfortunately, I did shoot my shot. It didn't land. I missed. That's okay. And that's why I'm asking the two of you, when is it appropriate to approach a woman in public and try to pick them up or give them your phone number? I look forward to having both of you on our podcast in the new year. In the meantime, make sure you're going out there, having some fun, making some bad decisions, and living life to the fullest.
That was interesting and very on brand because that is not how he met his future child's mother.
Coincidentally. It is that time of year. Love is in the air, or at least sexual desperation is in the air. And I don't mean to be insulting, Adrian, but as two women, we're very much so married and out of the dating scene. This story, it just brought to mind so much past awkwardness that we've experienced before.
I had to talk to my psychologist about it, honestly.
And my thoughts on this interaction is pretty straightforward. You saw a girl, you liked her, you liked how she looked, she seems fun, you went for it. No harm, no foul. It is what it is, yo. I mean, she wasn't interested, and in my opinion, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
I mean, this reminds me of something I saw very recently. I could not quite find it. I did some Googling beforehand, but here is Rachel trying to horribly summarize a meme she saw on the internet that she couldn't find. So the gist of the meme, because everybody loves when someone tries to explain a meme to you, right? The gist of it is that this person, OP, says their favorite mythological creature is the siren because if a man thinks that a woman just existing is an invitation for him to come over, he deserves what he got. And it's kind of the same thing. Being a woman in public, does that mean you are soliciting invitations for romantic or sexual partners? Does just a woman living, does that mean we're open for business? And that's one thing when you're just two strangers on the street. I think this story adds another little spices of flavor to it. The thing that I did not like about the story was how when you gave her your phone number, you said something about banking. You made it, you disguised it as if we can talk about our banking needs. A fun fact about me is that way back in the day, I worked in a retail bank. I worked with customers. And you know what these bankers have is metrics and goals. And if somebody gave me their phone number and said, I'm going to talk about banking, I would be so excited that I was going to get a sale. And then if it was really just
hook up.
Yeah, I would be like, oh my God, this isn't going to get me my bonus. So I just say, okay, shoot your shot, but don't misrepresent it. If you like the teller, the cute woman at the bank, say, hey, want to grab lunch sometime. Hey, want to like go out. Don't say like, let's talk about my banking.
I think that's fair. That's a point that I didn't consider about, let's talk about banking in our spare time, which is like, I can get a sale and a bonus. But clearly, we feel differently about this topic. And Adrienne, we are not an advice podcast, but I think there is a core question inside of your question and your story that we can answer, or at least, as we know around here, attempt to answer with our wishy-washy.
Yep.
It depends. Formula.
Dance around for an hour.
Maybe we shouldn't really sell that as part of our brand, not really answering questions.
No, we do. We provide a lot of information, but we let the listener make up their own answers. This is like a choose your own adventure. We provide you with all the pages. You flip to the ones you want to.
I like that. We provide the info. You come up with your own answer. But the question at the core of what you asked, I think, is how can a man approach a woman without being creepy? It's rough. It's hard. And I think Rachel and I, we're going to have some really different thoughts on it. So I'm excited to see where it goes. We are really looking forward to our guest spot on your show. We're going to be getting a little racier than we normally do around here on your podcast.
I didn't know that's possible, to be honest. TBH.
I've listened to the How I Didn't Meet Your Mother podcast. We are definitely going to be getting a little racier than we normally do. So, listeners, make sure to keep an eye out on our socials to find out when that episode is going to be released. And check out the link in bio to listen to more of the How I Didn't Meet Your Mother podcast.
Yeah, and I would maybe stay tuned after this episode drops to see if that invitation still stands.
So, to kick off with the research and the question, I will say I do not envy anybody on the dating scene.
Oh, hell no.
It gets a lot of praise somehow. I don't like, oh yeah, we're going to go out. We're going to have so much fun. We're going to be having so much adventure. And dating is hard, guys.
My off-the-wall theory is that dating is good if you don't want to actually maintain relationships. Like, all your friends are busy tonight. Let me just find a random person to go get drinks with. It's got to be really good for your social life because it's a kind of like a revolving door of interactions and short-term relationships. So you're always busy. I guess that's kind of fun. Get to go try out new places. Let me tell you, my husband does not want to take me to the newest bars all the time. That's where I got to pull out the Tinder.
Just to find something to do.
Yeah, just like, I want to go to the science exhibit. Let me
go out on Tinder, get a date. Or like when I'm like a Saturday
for
night.
Free.
Yeah, on Saturday night when I'm like, my husband doesn't feel like going out. All my friends are busy. Let me just go to Tinder.
100%. And that's why people say it's exciting, because a random night you could have matched with someone, start chatting and meet up. It like opens up possibilities. So where us married people, we just have a world of closed doors and no. That little thing on your phone, there's always a yes out there somewhere.
There's a whole lot of yes.
Do you hear that, Adrienne? There's a yes out there for you.
You just got to find it. It's really complicated. If you're actually looking for connection, or even if you're just trying to have some fun, there are so many ways for things to crash and burn. And right at the start of things, you can crash and burn. If you're trying to give someone your number the same way Adrienne did and they aren't having it, or you're coming on too strong, or whatever, it's just hard. We've talked about the evolution of male and female relationships before, like in the Can Men and Women Be Friends episode, where Rachel kind of broke down all those courting rules of back in the day, like with what color handkerchief you had and the number of times you fluttered your fan. That was indicative of if you were open for business or not. But there are no rules anymore. There's no code of conduct that people can use to advertise what you're looking for. It is the Wild West era of dating. So just like the Wild West, you know someone is going to get unnecessarily gut shot in the streets, a la Tombstone, motherfuckers.
Not only is there no traffic laws for dating, but these roads aren't even going to the same destination. Some people are going the long distance on the freeway. They want the final destination, marriage, kids, da-da-da-da. Some people are just looking to fill a Saturday night. So not only are you trying to navigate, does this person like me? Do I like this person? You're also navigating, do we want the same things? And you know what? It sucks. It seems like it would be very hard. And Adrienne, we gave you guff a little bit about the execution, but I admire the intention. It sucks to be rejected, but it's not fun to reject people either.
No.
People don't like making people feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's literally no winners when these things go wrong. So how can we help avoid this gut shot, no winner situation, Laura?
We are going to look at this piece by piece, examining evolutionary biology and what they have to say about mating signals and how to properly decipher them, how women respond to being hit on, and lastly, the ethics of pickup artistry. So don't be afraid, gentlemen, if you hear some man-hating along the way. Don't worry, guys. I have your back today. Just like Rachel with the voice of men on our Period podcast, I am going to assume the crowd today, and I am going to be your advocate.
So what Laura's saying is she's the cool girl and I'm the frigid, man-hating bitch.
That's right. Cool girl. That is me.
But for the record, I don't hate men. I don't hate men. I just don't respect them.
So stay tuned. Right after this break, Laura's going to tell you how you get that pussy. Hey there. Rachel and I wanted to let you know how you can get even more Impolite Society in your life. You can check out the awesomely fun podcast that we guested on last week, Nerds Talking the Podcast. We joined Lafayette, Johnny, Carlos, and Hugh to hang out and cover a ton of different topics, like our favorite TV shows, what we wanted to be when we grow up, and most importantly, the opening we have on the Impolite Society team for a stalker. Here's a little clip of our guest appearance, and you can find the full episode titled Impolite Nerds Talking Society at the link in the episode description. Enjoy, and make sure to have a listen wherever you find your podcasts.
Are you guys friends with anybody that may have stalked you in the past?
I have never been stalked.
You don't know what it's like.
Does that,
You
does
know
that,
about.
You're missing out.
You're missing out. Yeah, you're missing out.
It's the best. Just to
it
look in the
means that
bushes.
clearly I haven't been, like Jenna on 30 Rock where she has like her stalker. Yeah, that she's like, am I not good enough anymore? Like I see the clear delineation between stalking and like the self-confidence boost. I get that. Maybe our podcast will lead us to my eventual stalker.
Yes.
So what we're saying is we have open positions for stalkers.
Or
so
stalker,
let
there you
your
go.
audience know if you're interested in being a stalker, you got 2 open slots. Send your resumes
In
to
St.
Rude
Louis, though, you
at
gotta be.
Impolite Society. You
You
can
know.
virtually
You can
stalk
online
people.
stalk.
That
Yeah,
is true.
totally.
That is true.
2022.
I mean, I've been there.
Now, do you guys require
Um,
headshots and resumes or just resumes?
Mm.
Just
Headshots also.
resumes.
No,
'cause-
okay. See, now we differ.
See, I want to, for my headshot, I want you to just be in the background somewhere, like lurking. I
Oh,
don't want
there you
like
go.
a true like a photo of you kind of peering around a corner. That's what I
A
want.
true
There you go.
stalker.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
What if it was a photo of like your window, like when they already start?
Oh.
Ooh.
Hired
Oh.
right away.
Yeah,
Hired.
above
You're
and
in.
beyond.
Get that guy a raise. You
Yeah,
get
that's
above and
super
beyond,
creepy.
I
that's
mean,
right.
at, like bonus points if we're already in the window, like you caught us walking
Oh,
by.
there you
It's
go.
Like,
Oh, and I wander around my house naked all the time. So extra bonus points if you could get. I'm seriously convinced that my neighbors are moving because
Because of
I
you.
am often naked in my house. They're getting their house ready to sell. And like our windows are almost always like half open. And I do occasionally wander into the kitchen area completely sans clothing. And there was like some sort of like standoff, like where they were like their kitchen window like almost immediately faces mine. And it was like they put up the drapes first and they started closing them. And I'm like, I win.
I can see it now. You go up to random windows and just go, "Are you there? Are you there, stalker? Stalker, are you there?"
Not even that. Open the front door and do it. Stalker, are you anywhere around?
It was 40s. So I'm totally like, is anybody interested?
Anybody, just anybody.
Anyone?
All you hear is somebody go, "Close the damn door."
Oh no.
Damn it. Damn it. I'm trying to
So
get
true.
stalked.
It's so
quit.
true.
Yeah, I want to be stalked. Well, I was just using that word totally wrong, but still. I want to be stalked.
That cold approach to someone you don't know is so freaking hard. It has been decades, literally decades since I've tried to do this, But I remember it. I was the kind of girl that I was like, no, I like this guy. I want to go up to him and try to introduce myself. And it is hard. And I also remember being approached, the times when it went wrong, and then the times it went spectacularly wrong.
Well, mad props to you for being someone to go up and go after what you want. And I guess that's the same for the men in this situation. But this is coming from somebody who I don't even like to go up to the hostess and say how many people I need at my table. Like, that's not fun. So if you have the cojones to do that, I mean, kudos to you. I'm clapping my tiniest hands.
Just because it's hard, I don't think that means that you shouldn't try it. It just means that you got to know how to flirt. And more importantly, how to recognize flirting.
In the right time and place.
Human flirting, it is not nearly as clear cut as some of the other animals out there. Like, dating would be so much easier if it were those birds that do the coordinated dances, you know, on Animal Planet. You see them flashing their feathers and getting their backup dancers and all that jazz. Birds are preening their feathers, monkeys sticking out their big red asses. I think we really should be taking our tips from them, because the tiger, he's not turning to his friends and asking if, oh, I don't know if this girl is into me, when she's sticking her tail straight up and backing up into him. Like, he knows that she's interested. In human relationships, it's a little bit more gray.
Well, humans in general are just a little bit more complicated than animals. I know you're a cat owner. I have cats. Have you ever had a female cat, unspayed, unaltered? This is not subtle.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm talking about with the tail.
They turn into fucking sluts, man.
They do.
I had this sweet little kitten. She was so cute. And then we didn't get her spayed in time. And she went through her first heat cycle. And she was rolling around on the ground like Madonna. It was awful. I've never felt more victimized by a cat.
Yeah. Humans are a bit more subtle than that. And before we go on hating on women for being sneaky or coy or whatever that people might think, let's just remember that from an evolutionary perspective, women have a lot more risk in the mating game. The females have to carry a child, birth a child, raise and feed that child. There is no guarantee that their mate is going to stick around to help them with this task. So they have this right to be choosy and to be subtle.
So not only is there that biological imperative, right, that makes it different, but society has also set up a lot of rules that police women's sexuality.
You don't want to be a slut.
There's more emphasis on giving your flower to someone else.
Your delicate
and so this
flower.
is what I say when I want to burn down the patriarchy. More men need to get behind that, because if we didn't slut shame women, we didn't put virgins up on pedestals, we would all be getting laid a lot more.
Yeah.
If sex was as meaningless to a lady as it was to a man, isn't that the utopia these pickup artists dream of? But then at the same time, they'll knock a woman who has too much sex. I've seen Reddit. I've been there before.
And we also have to remember how women have been trained from a really young age to be nice to people, especially to men. I don't know how many men in the audience had their mothers tell them that old adage of you catch more bees with honey than vinegar. But I know a lot of women had that told to them. And there's also a level of safety involved. If you're not interested, if you tell a man to fuck off, that comes with a certain amount of bodily risk. So that's just something that we all have to keep in mind as we go through this approach and reject scenario over and over again.
Well, and I want to add, too, it's not just about catching the bees. It's not, women aren't being nice to you to be transactional. It's told that that's like a woman's value, right? And we're told to not impose, like our presence should not create any inconvenience or discomfort for other people, and especially men. And that goes from what our moms tell us, but what movies and TV and all the stuff tells us.
In this situation, if you're a dude, how can you tell if a woman is really interested and that she wants to be approached in public? Like we said, humans flirt in more subtle ways than baboons. But more importantly, men and women interpret these signals very differently. In studies, research has shown that when men and women look at the same behavior, men are much more likely to see behaviors as more flirtatious, seductive, and promiscuous. So when a girl just says, "Hi," a guy hears, "Hi." They are seeing what they want to see, not what's actually there.
So when a girl says, "Oh, are you done with this table?" they hear, "Hey, you want to get out of here?"
Yeah. But it's not just men, because it turns out we're all really bad at it. In a study in 2014, researchers found that only 28% of people accurately detected flirting or not flirting in studied interactions. And that was across the board. 75% of males and females were wrong about if the person on the opposite end of the table was flirting with them. So we're all freaking clueless.
Oh, I 100% believe that. I mean, I don't think people are coming up and flirting with me and I'm missing it. Like, I think that that's like pretty safe to say that that's not happening. But what it is sometimes men I interact with will say something that throws up a red flag that I'm sure was just totally
Innocuous.
Yeah. And then for whatever reason, there's something happens that I pick up on it.
But there are some signals that are pretty culturally universal across a lot of different societies. Researchers found that what they had in common when flirting were the eyebrow flash, you know, like when your eyebrow goes up for a fraction of a second, like very unintentionally, not like The Rock, you know, doing his eyebrow.
What does he do? Mime it for me. Show me.
Oh, I can't even do it. Like, he's got like such a dramatic one eyebrow raise. You can't.
Oh.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. I just wanted to see you try it.
No, I can't. Austin can do it. It's really impressive. It's hard to do, man. And he can really do it. But it's not like that.
He doesn't have all the years of Botox. That's
And other cultural universals is smiling, nodding, moving physically close to the other person, and then mimicking their behavior. They cross their legs, you cross your legs, that kind of thing that you do in social interactions.
So I will say, of this few, like, mirroring is really hard to pick up. I don't know. I'm not a fucking murder detective. I don't notice people's behavior that
You're not
closely.
Cousteau. You can't pick it up.
I'm not. But I will say the thing to pay attention to, and when you're on a date, talking to a woman, talking to a man, look at the physical distance. I don't like to be close to anybody. So I'm moving away all the time. Like, thank you, coronavirus. That was the best thing that came out of it, because I don't have to stand close to people anymore. But pre-COVID, there was a situation. So this is how exciting me and my husband are when we go out and have our dates. All we do is look around at the Tinder dates and observe their behavior.
Welcome to marriage. You know.
Oh, yeah. There was a Tinder date happening at a wine bar where the man was sitting and leaning in, and the woman was literally leaning back.
Yeah,
she
not
was leaning
interested.
away from him. I'm saying, like, I don't pick up on little minuscule interactions, but if you're in the art of the pickup, if you're thinking about trying to pick someone up, maybe pay attention to that, right? So Adrian, if you're talking to your bank teller and she's leaning over the counter, like getting closer, or, you know, you're talking to somebody and you find that proximity, I say that is a very clear telltale sign, where the other ones either are really hard to spot or might be a little more common.
Well, and another one that I read in the studies was touching their hair or touching their clothes. If you're like adjusting your shirt to make sure it's a certain way or playing with your hair, that was another signal that people are actually interested. But another finding for researchers was that behaviors like these that took place early in an interaction, they were not indicative of interest. Those first smiles, nods, and glances, or tossing your hair over your shoulder just before you met somebody, just because you're getting yourself together before your next interaction, those were just part of the social construct of being nice, of smiling, nodding, things like that. The signals were only meaningful if they happened over time. As your conversations continued, people gave more of these signals. That was when it meant something. So you needed more time with an individual to judge if this was actually indicative of them being interested.
And I would say that that's maybe an important piece of this equation, is spending time with someone.
That is why it's so hard, because you can't spend time with every single person that you want to pick up. You can't only pick up people you already know. You have to take a chance eventually.
Yeah, and I guess maybe because my dating scene ended when I was in college, where you're surrounded by a lot of other people in social situations that are all sexually viable potential mates.
Yeah.
That can build over time. But I think that this is a result. uncomfort around dating as a result of the falling apart of our social, like a lot of the places
Norms.
where we socialize, right? Where my grandparents went to a dance every Saturday night, and they saw the same people there every Saturday night. So you're able to kind of build that rapport and pick up those signs and figure out which girl wanted you to ask her to go steady.
Yeah, if you don't have that anymore, you have a chance, you got to take a chance.
You got to take a chance to have a chance.
So what does this mean? You're bound to fail a lot, I think. And the question is, should men even keep trying? Do women even like to be picked up and hit on?
I think if we're looking at it from a pickup artist perspective, I don't think women's wants or desires factor in too much, right? They are game to be gotten.
No, I'm supposed to be the voice of the man. No.
I'm sorry that I'm just a lot more manly and masculine than you. I think it's just what makes me not like the other girls. I'm such a dude. I'm a bro. I just like hanging out with the guys.
I read a lot of articles on these pickup artists, and a lot of them come to the table with that no harm, no foul attitude. So from their perspective, when you come up to a strange woman and you tell her she's beautiful, it's just going to make her day. She might shoot you down or might have a boyfriend, but she's going to be so thankful that you complimented her.
Yes, because a woman's desirability demand is what gives her life meaning and makes her valuable as a person.
But counterpoint, I totally agree with this because I've been married for too long, I think. I'm old. I'm 38 years old. I've been with the same man for 21 years. I got a 1-year-old home. So I never mind a man hitting on me as long as he's nice, he's not creepy, he accepts my no thank you, gracefully. But like Rachel said, there are a lot of women that don't feel that way.
I don't know what it is that's fundamentally wrong with me, but just the idea that somebody thinks I'm sexually attractive or somebody wants to have sex with me makes my stomach churn.
I've often wondered how you managed to get a husband. Like, because clearly Dan wanted to bone you or else he wouldn't have hit on you.
Yeah, but I wanted to bone him, I guess. I don't know what happened. I was interested in him, and maybe I'm not interested in people anymore.
Maybe that's what it is.
No.
Is you're only interested when it's clearly reciprocated. You're super creeped out when you're not feeling the same way. But if you feel the same way, then it's cool.
Yeah. If you like someone in that way, you want them to like you back. But there has to be some grounding in reality, folks. So when I worked at a bank, I had a man come in and he was literally carrying a charity check. He told me he had just gotten out of prison. He was also 70.
Dream date.
Yeah, and he tried to pick me up. And I was like, what do you think? And this isn't conceited, right? Because I'll say, what do you think you're going to bring to the table here? And then we'll get all in a fuss. Oh, Rachel is a gold digger. Rachel doesn't da. But these are the same guys who will only swipe on the hottest girls on Tinder because they're like, oh, well, physical attraction needs to be a thing. So I don't know. This whole thing sets me. What got me here? The fact that apparently I only want to have sex with people that I like, and that makes me a demisexual, which makes me a part of the LGBTQI community. So
did you see my comment on one of the demisexual things when we were doing the polyamory? I was like, they're like, demisexual, I only want to have sex with people after 3 or 4 dates. I'm like, well, then sign me up for a demisexual. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I only want to have sex with people I actually like. God forbid.
Yeah, I only want to have sex when it is the arbitrated day of the week that we have decided on, and I have 24 hours to monitor how much food I eat so that I can feel cute enough
to get naked.
Yeah, what letter is that?
But never talking to a woman that you don't know, that's not going to end well for the human race. It's pretty natural to try to make connections. So what do? Obviously, you have your friend, pass them a note. They check under the do you like me box, yes or no. They check yes. You pass it back, and then romance ensues. Duh.
That's the way we should all be doing it. And you know it's true love if your middles touch while you slow dance at the 8th grade prom.
That you left no room for the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, if God wants us to procreate, which I feel like is a major theme of the Bible, then he should want all of those 14-year-olds boning, because that's when you're the most fertile, the most ferocious. I think God wants teenagers to have sex. if I can be so bold.
Well,
Wait. And God, if you disagree, hit me with a bolt of lightning right now.
well, she remains to be seen. So God and pickup artists have something in common.
I rest my case.
So if you see somebody and you're paying attention and you really do think that she's flirting with you, you know, she's smiling, she's doing that light rock eyebrow raising, she's moving closer. What are you supposed to say to her? And those pickup artists, they have a lot of suggestions. And it made me think, is there a certain pickup line that's scientifically backed? Like one that you can say to anyone in the bar that they are just going to automatically get on board with? And what research has found is that pickup lines do work. Even those really cheesy ones, the corny ones, the, you know, did it hurt when you fell from heaven? Like the sexy ones, even those really creepy ones, like the one that you told me about the guy who was like, my hands would look good around your neck. Like all that.
I like your neck. My hands will look good around it.
But these will work. The difficulty is that different lines work on different kinds of people. Since you're trying to pick up someone that you don't know what kind of line that they're going to respond to.
So my theory in general about why pickup lines might be successful, it goes back to the murkiness of the interactions between the sexes. We spend so much time dancing as I'm interested, but I don't know if he's interested in me and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So if a man comes out there and lays it out, that might just be the effectiveness in it. It might not be any magic or the line you're using. It could simply just be like walking up to a girl and being like, hey, I'm interested in
I
you.
like
And
you.
and then, yeah, because you know what's attractive and somebody liking you. People are attracted to people who like them. And when you're upfront about that, there's less room for things to go wrong before you hit that point.
And research will back you up on that. So the researchers have found that different kind of people prefer different kinds of lines. So shy or anxious women, they would generally respond better to lines that showed off a man's positive attributes, like ones that were boastful about how great they were. Women who were more outgoing, like humorous or direct approaches. I think that's what you're thinking of there. But then aggressive or really impulsive women, they preferred lines that were overtly sexual or the ones that were just generic compliments. There's not this one-size-fits-all approach. Humans are so complicated. We're so different. The problem is when people try to mold themselves or mold their tactics based on what they think someone is going to respond to. And that is just a recipe for disaster.
Laura, I'm going to need you to give me examples of all three of these categories. I want your best pickup lines for complimentary to yourself, funny, and overt. Go.
Hey girl. I don't know if you knew this, but I pull out $120K a year. And I can pull out of you all night long.
Which in reality, it's like once, you know. Let's be real. So that's complimentary. So they come in and they say something good about themselves, usually probably about money. I mean, let's be real. Or dick size. I don't know if that gets you a shy, anxious girl.
I think that's going to get you the aggressive or impulsive. Outgoing and humorous. My love for you is like diarrhea. I just can't hold it back.
Yikes.
You like this beard? It'll look better, wetter.
And then you get a drink tossed in your face.
Well, that one's a good one because it indicates you like to go down. So I feel like that one is slightly better than...
What about the one that's like, I would break every chair in the world so the last place for you to sit is my face?
That one, I mean, it's all right. It depends on what kind of mood I'm in. Like I said, all the ones that indicate going down are better than any other ones that indicate suck my dick or we're gonna fuck. The ones that say I go down are better than all of them.
Yeah, like it'd be like going up to a random person and be like, I'm so hot, you're gonna give me $20.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
So if you're gonna lead with a really sexy one, do it with I go down. Like
it's
as
always
the
about
subtext.
cunnilingus.
Yeah.
Or it's, I have really expensive vibrators at my house.
That would be creepy. I have an extensive vibrator collection. I'd be like, who else has used those?
Ooh, I boil them.
I don't care. I'm not interested. But I think generally the recipe for success with these is to do what feels natural to you. If that's being cheesy and funny, you should go with that. If you're going to get the girl that's outgoing and appreciates it. If you want a bone, then sure, lead with that creepy line about your wet beard. The girls who are going to get down, they're going to be into it. So know what you want and be willing to get rejected until you find the one that wants what you're offering.
And that's literally, as we learned in like every 90s, early 2000s rom-com, is you can't get the guy by changing who you are.
Yeah.
You have to be yourself.
Totally.
So go for it. If you fit in one of those categories, or if you want to use exclusively Star Trek pickup lines, that's your thing.
If you're going to use a Star Trek pickup line, you're going to get the girl eventually that's a Trekkie. So just be willing to get it rejected a lot.
Are you the TARDIS? Because you look bigger on the inside.
That might be a little insulting. But it's a free market approach to relationships. If you build it, they will come. If you offer a product a specific subset of people are interested in, they're going to come to the table.
Women aren't goods to be sold, Laura. I know you're supposed
Aren't
to
they?
be the man.
Aren't they?
Sex is not a commodity. It's an act of love.
They're my target. I want to target them and then put my dick in their pussy holes. That's a thing, right? I don't know.
You've been married a long time if you forgot how sex works. You have a child. You've done it at least once.
At least once. But there are a lot of pickup artists that are going to give you very different advice to this free market, women are humans kind of feel. And we are going to get into what those artists say after this quick break.
So if you're not going out there to meet your soulmate, you're just going out there to get laid for a night, is there a way you can take a shortcut and increase your odds for finding a sexual partner for the evening?
There are people that will sell you a system that says, yeah, there are men and women that are looking to hack this system or hack the human brain, that you can con someone into liking you. And that is where pickup artists come into play. Is that even possible? And my first thought was no, but then I think about how we are so duped by marketing every single day and how radio actually cons us into liking shitty music because they sandwich it between music that we already like. This was a real thing that they did in the 90s and the 2000s.
Is that how All-Star became what it is? Just
Yeah, maybe.
you just hear a really good song from the early 2000s and then somebody.
I still like that song. But I feel like that's totally true because there are songs that I put in my Spotify playlist and then I go back to them years later and I'm like, this is a shit song, and I take it off. It's because we've been conned into liking it. If marketers can figure out how to hack our natural insecurities and our instincts, that just leads to the question to wonder if men can do it too. Can pickup artists actually do this? And if you Google the art of seduction or pickup lines, anything in that vein, you are going to get a ton of ads because this is big business, guys. In 2018, men in the UK spent $100 million on it. There is stock put into books like this, like The Game. This was a pickup book that was published in 2005 that really popularized that negging approach where you approach a woman with a backwards compliment.
Yeah. Ugh.
I see a lot of these guys on TikTok and YouTube, and they all make that same promise, which is follow these rules and you are going to get the girl.
And my kind of gut reaction to when I heard that British men spent that much money on it is that is just very sad, because it's not just about getting sex. These men are looking for connection and emotional intimacy, kind of. I'm sure a lot of...
Are they? That's the question.
I think it's in the mix. There's probably guys who are out there, our incel friends. Hey, friends. They're missing that because, again, the patriarchy, and this is where the patriarchy is hurting you, bros. Listen up.
The capital P.
Listen up. I'm trying to help you out. It's denying you emotional intimacy with the male friends in your life and from other people. If you don't get it anywhere, men project a lot of their intimacy and emotional needs onto women. So if there's no women in your life and you're like really getting desperate for it, you're going to try to find a way to hook a lady.
But these pickup artists, they aren't entirely off base because psychologists, They have proposed that relationships develop over 3 basic stages. And this is initial attraction, building comfort and trust, and then making the sexual move, which is the seduction. So those 3 stages. And these happen over a longer period of time when you're trying to build a relationship or build intimacy, or it happens in a couple of hours in that meet at the bar, take them back to your apartment kind of thing. They all generally follow these stages. And these are the basics that pickup artists use to try to manipulate women into sex.
I'm not saying it can't be done because it's very easy to manipulate people. We're not fortresses of solitude. We're very dependent on what other people are doing. I would say probably the biggest hurdle here is that number 1 step, which is initial attraction. So that's got to be the hugest hurdle because, as our male friends would say, if you're a hot dude, you can hit on any girl and it's not creepy. But if you're an average dude, it's creepy. So how do the pickup artists overcome that?
Through different tactics like negging. So the idea behind negging is that you give them a backwards compliment and women then try to prove themselves to you. So the thing is, I don't like you. So then they're trying to chase you back.
Oh, that's interesting. Like reverse psychology. I bet that works. Oh, 100% that works.
Oh, totally. There was this article that I read. It was a really great article. I'll list it in the show notes. I think it was from BuzzFeed, where this woman did this huge expose on like the pickup artist industry. And at the end, she was like, and then I realized as we said goodbye, he used it on me. And I was so fucking mad because it fucking works.
Well, yeah. And it's not her fault. It's not anybody's fault. If you want to go around and be a fucking sociopath that manipulates people into doing what you want, you're going to be successful sometimes. But at what cost? At what cost, Adrian?
And I don't think there's anything wrong with these people who are seeking guidance. There's nothing wrong with wanting girls to like you or want some tips on how to approach them. And I think that's where that more casual viewing probably gets its popularity, the TikTokers, the YouTubes. But these people who actually pay thousands of dollars to sit in a hotel conference to listen to these tips, they want something in return. That is where it just gets pushed up to a whole nother level. This is when they get really ferocious.
Listen up, pickup artist industry. I have uncovered a new market for you. You want an audience? You want a market who wants girls to like them? Target freshman girls going through sorority rush. I want to see a P&M go in there and nag the shit out of the top tier sorority into getting a bid. You know what? That would be an amazing sketch. Any sketch comedians, write me, hit me up, and I will gladly accept the royalties from the amazing idea I just put into the universe.
And we'll send you a sweatshirt.
I expect to see it on SNL any day.
The problem is that these people, they are paying good money and they don't just want to be more confident and socially pleasant. They want sex with women.
It's almost like they think that if they shell out enough money that
they're entitled to it.
That vagina will follow.
And not just any women, they want hot women. They want those 9s and those 10s, and they're willing to do a lot of shady shit to get it. Like you said, to manipulate people. And like we've mentioned a couple times, there is something very incel-y about this pickup artist sphere. There's just some level of familiarity that's going on there. The real problem is that men and women, they're really at odds more than ever with what they want.
This whole thing is crazy to me. Is that a surprise to anybody at this point in the podcast that this all seems bonkers? Because to me, the answer is just talk to people like people, all these extra gadgets and tricks and stuff. Sure, you might be able to manipulate someone into having sex with you, but does that feel good? I don't know. Is that going to validate you as a person?
Well, I think that's what it's all about, because men and women are driven by different things. Men are driven for that desire for sex, so they will do anything to get to that end goal. But women, they are driven for emotional exchange. They want recognition, validation, and love.
So they trap you.
So the pickup artists give this general impression that men are aggressors, women are prey. So they are this commodity to be tricked and consumed. So you give them what they want, the recognition, validation, and love, and then these men can then collect their 30 pieces of silver on the back end for their trouble, which is the sex. And it all just feels gross, even if it works.
Well, okay, because here's the thing. When you have those 3 steps, recognition, validation, and love, is that not just a relationship? Why not just get in a relationship?
But not men all want relationships. Sometimes they just want a bone.
I just feel like anybody who's in a relationship is having more sex than a single person.
Absolutely. Well, maybe not 21 years into your marriage.
But you're still probably having more sex than an average single person, or like at least 25th percentile of single people. Because there's single people who go for years without sex, and you're not at that point.
Definitely not. Maybe they are looking to sow their wild oats, and fine, if you want to sow your wild oats, go for it. But don't try to trick people. It's gross. It's just like marketing is gross. Do you ever see a commercial and you're just like, oh, I know exactly what chords these are striking with people. Like, I recognize it. It's like the Matrix. You see beyond what's actually being said at the top end, and you're like, this is gross.
I've taken an advertising class. I know the buckets of appeals, and I'm still crying. And I'm like, I hate when media plays on the cheap strings and to tap your emotion. I'm still crying, but I know what you did to do this. And it's just like, that's cheap. Don't be cheap. If you're going to be out here making quote unquote art,
TV, you're talking about movies.
No, we're making a podcast. Everybody has side projects. Everybody has things that they're working on. Everybody likes to people want to create things, I think. So if you're a creator like us in this podcast and you're trying to create something that moves people, if you kill the dog, that is a cheap trick that we all know. We all know.
How can men approach women without being creepy? And I think this is the 3 points that we've laid out here. So first, you got to know when a woman is actually flirting. Don't just see what you want to see or interrupt a woman when she's just minding her own business, doing her thing, trying to get on the subway or whatever.
Know your time and your place, right? Because this factors into, Adrian, your question. If somebody's being friendly to you and it's their job to engage with the public, maybe take a second and think critically about that interaction and look for those signs we talked about, right? If you are in a situation like a bar, totally walk up to a stranger, somebody you don't know, because by being there, you're kind of opening yourself up for those kind of interactions. But as Laura said, if somebody's commuting, if somebody's at Starbucks, if somebody is at the gym, especially. Leave it alone. That's not the goal.
You're at your most vulnerable at the gym. You don't want anybody talking to you about
why you're at the space. If the space is designed for socialization and fraternization, then maybe you can approach a stranger. If there's a hottie at the gym, maybe try talking to her and see if she gives you those signs.
Yeah,
there's no clear cut.
No.
But in some situations, don't walk up to that girl on the Stairmaster, please.
Going back to his situation with the bank teller, he tried his best and is saying like he thought that she was being friendly and interested, and so he shot a shot. I don't think there's any harm or foul there. I mean, obviously he misread the situation, but it is what it is. I think it's fine. You weren't overly pushy, overly weirded out. Next time you didn't see her, you weren't like, you fucking bitch. You know, I think you're fine. Maybe you misread it, but you did the best you could.
You didn't stand outside, because banks always have a lot of big open windows. You didn't stand outside the window and just like peer in like. Yeah. So you're fine. I hope not. We'll find out.
Second is to be yourself, and don't expect certain lines to work on every person. Just be a nice human, and if it works out, it works out. And if it doesn't, oh well, move on. Life goes on. Don't be a jerk about it.
And don't try to manipulate people.
Number 3, don't make getting people into bed your ultimate goal. People are rich. They are complicated. They are wonderful. Make it your goal to understand and know a person, not manipulate them into giving you what you want.
That is the most loftiest thing we've ever said on this podcast. that we should try to know the true personhood behind every person we want to have sex with.
Not know the true personhood, just like get to know them. It's like every person is a wonderful door and you can open it and see what's behind it. And
we want to open the door and we want to get in the door. We want to go into the door and then out of the door and then into the door and then out of the door.
But you're more than just your door.
Yeah, there's also a back door. That's interesting.
Wait, I was supposed to be the word of the man on this podcast.
I'm sorry. I'm just that bitch. I am always going to be a cool girl. I can't help it. I was born this way.
All right. Well, front door or back door, we are shutting this door. This is the end of this rude question.
My advice, Adrian, and all the men who are listening, just treat women like people, because when you reduce them to that core function of being something for sex, that is what creeps them out. And that's why it reads wrong when you hit on women you don't know in situations that aren't about finding casual sex, because I don't want to be in my world and walking around and being reduced to that. That's my tidbit. We're not an advice podcast.
You're right. And here we go. We were supposed to be on opposite end of the spectrum, and turns out.
Yes, because we're both humans and people.
Whatever. I'm not a human. I'm a cool girl.
Yes, you live to serve men in the patriarchy. Meanwhile, I live to burn it down.
I wouldn't like sex with strangers because I don't want to get naked in front of a stranger.
I don't want to be naked ever, truly.
Fun fact, that's what we're going to be talking about on the How I Didn't Meet Your Mother podcast. It's about being naked.
That one will be fun. I'll have something to say.
So stay tuned for that, guys. Keep an eye out for socials for that date about when we are going to appear on their podcast. Give them a listen. Give them a follow. Give us a listen. Give us a follow. Follow us on all of our different socials on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter that we never post to. TikTok, we're always trying to do something different on there.
We're unbanned.
Oh, we have. We've been released for now. I don't know. The next one that I post might get us banned. Who knows?
Laura, don't put cartoon dicks on our TikToks.
That's the best that I can figure of why we got banned. I don't know.
Okay, that's the drums. That's it for us. As always, stay rude, everybody, and keep marching to the beat of your own drum.
Da-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum. Even if it scares the shit out of me.
Just hit him over the head with a drumstick.
And scene.